Now in this video, let us try to understand the value and void returning function with a sample demo program. And well, for the sake of convenience, again, I will use a similar function that I have used before to show the demo. And I will keep on modifying these Java program uh, to illustrate the concept. So well, for for the sake of understanding the value returning function, I'm just going to modify the function name a little bit. So let's say function returning value, just so that the name illustrates the concept like this. So instead of add three numbers, I just changed it to function returning value. And since I have changed this value, let me just change it in here also. So now everything is illustrating a function returning value just like this. And here it is 15. So now let us try to do the same thing, try to achieve the same result, that is 15, without returning any result. So here actually let me just write down the function which does not return any result. So let me just copy paste this same function, because I really do not want to change the function logic uh, of this for the sake of the illustration. I just want to show you that well, you can use void instead of int. And so if I just use void over here, void, let's say, and change the name, like instead of returning value, let's call it returning no value, because it is void, and giving it a nice name. Now, so these are the two different functions. The first one is returning value and second one is not returning value, but basically they are working, doing the same thing. Now, if I do this, then if I try to run this program, let us see what happened after writing this function returning no value and returning void. Let us see what happened. If I just run this program, as you can see, there is an error in line number 11. What is the error? Since the function is returning void, but in this line of return, I am still returning this result. So the Java function does not expect anything to return at this point. And that is why the error is. So in order to correct it, rectify it, let us just remove this return result. And now let us run this function. And as you can see, there is no more error. Now let us try to understand, let us try to store the value of this void function inside a variable. Can we do that? Let us see with a demo program. So since in the value returning function, that is our first function, I can store the value inside a variable called my result. But now let us say if I want to try this, my result 2 equals this function returning no value, and like this. And let us pass the similar numbers 5, 4, and then 6, the same function. And now let us try to print this result, or let me just stop in here. So here what I am doing, the function which is returning no value, I am trying to store the result inside a variable. Let us see what happened. Now if I just run this program, as you can notice that there is again another error in Java line number 17, which is this line. Why? Because the function is not returning anything, but I am trying to store the result inside a integer type variable. So that's why the error is there is nothing to store, but I am trying to store it. So in order to rectify the code, let me just get rid of this int my result 2 equals like this, and let us see what happen. Now if I just run this program in here, as I can see, the program is running correctly. But well, this the variable, I mean this 15 is printed because of this system.out.print line. But let me show you that whether this function is being called properly or not. So let me add a print statement inside this void returning function. So let me just write down system.out.print, and in here let me write down inside void returning function and result equals everything I am printing in here in the same place. Result equals plus result. And here actually, let me just to distinguish between two different results, let me write in this way. Let's say this is the after calling the value, or after calling the value returning function and storing the result in a variable, just in order to show you that well both the functions are working fine. So here now if I just run it, as you can see, well they are all running. So let me just put some \n over here so that the entire output in the same screen. This is result equals result inside here, and let me put another \n is to add a new line in here to avoid all the long lines. And here let me, after calling the value returning function, let me add a new line over here, and let's call result equals like this. So here if I just run this program, as you can see that well both the functions are running properly, and still I think there is a problem in here. Let's add another \n to put everything in a different line. And if I just run it, as you can see in the first function, first time, this is after calling the value returning function and storing the result in here in the result in a variable over here, and it is printing the result as 15. And for the next function call, for which I am not storing the variable in any variable, storing the result in any variable, the print is this line. It is printing this line, that is inside void returning function result equals 50. So this is the bottom line is, if a function is returning a value, then you can store it inside a variable. And if the function is not returning a value, or if it is a void, you cannot store it inside a variable in the caller function.